Why hello there and welcome back to another monotype team building video, and in this one we're going to be covering Mono Bug. It's a favourite type of mine and I like to run with a really offensive team. I find that bugs are too weak to far too many of the common threats in the metagame. Fire, flying, rock and ice are basically present on pretty much every single team and pretty much always in an offensive form. So we need to be running with an offensive style of bug team because we take far too many super effective hits to be able to try and stall through all of that. So I like to start with a Mega Pokemon as my first of 6, and we have some great choices in the bug typing and they're basically all offensive, but I like to run with Mega Heracross. Now this thing hits like an absolute truck, and it has some great type coverage too, especially if you're able to use the egg moves and breed Rock Blast onto this thing. It allows it coverage against fire, against ice and against flying, so that's absolutely fantastic to have. Now, I run with the Moxie ability on my normal Heracross on the chance that I can get a KO before going for the Mega Evolution, and then it's Pin Missile, Bullet Seed, Rock Blast, and Close Combat with 252 in attack, 252 in speed, and an Adamant Nature. So this thing basically hits everything incredibly hard, but it does have very middling speed, so we're going to have to build the team around Heracross's weak speed and 4 times flying weakness. It also has an inability to hit fairy types, but we'll come back to that. The way that I get around the speed issue for Mega Heracross is to bring along Sticky Web. It's a fantastic entry hazard, unique to bugs, and it drops your opponent's speed upon entry onto the field. And the one that I like to bring is Shuckle. I bring Shuckle with a red card and Sturdy so that you have a chance to reset the fight if your opponent gets set up on you and threatens to sweep through your team. I go with Sticky Web, Stealth Rock, Encore, and Toxic. If you go against their lead, you can Encore them into rocks or into setup moves. You can Toxic against the opponent's walls, Stealth Rock to put that up. That's less in priority though to Sticky Web. That's your absolute main purpose for the Shuckle. You always want to get Sticky Web onto the field before going into Mega Heracross. I go with 248 in HP, 252 into defense, 8 into special defense, and an Impish Nature. So to get around the fairy issue, I like to bring along Scizor. And I go with a Choice Banded Scizor with Technician, U-Turn, Superpower Knockoff, and Bullet Punch. So it's 4 attacks, some more great attack type coverage, along with 252 into attack and 252 into speed, means that it hits incredibly hard as well. And I like to go with an Adamant Nature, because mostly I find myself simply spamming Bullet Punch, so you don't need the speed as much in that occasion. It is nice to have the Knockoff and the U-Turn especially, because Scizor does get threatened by fire types, so when you predict the fire type coming, you can U-turn out into the Armaldo. That's the 4th mon on the team. I like to bring an Assault Vest 4 attacks Armaldo. You'll find that 4 attacks is a pretty common theme on this team actually. Knockoff, Earthquake, Rapid Spin, and Stone Edge. So this thing as my spinner is really important because it helps keep the hazards off of the field. I go with 248 into HP, 12 into speed just so that you can outspeed other 45 speed mons, and it's nice to have 88 into the special defense and 160 into the defense. This balances it out really nicely with the Assault Vest. It allows you to take flamethrowers and fire blasts and be able to hit back with a Stone Edge and bring down those fire types. It's a great mon in general. It is a little bit slow, but it does help to outspeed things when you've got that Sticky Web up, and it's bulky enough that it can take a hit and hit back with a stronger one. The Rapid Spin is absolutely crucial because it keeps the Stealth Rock weakness down, or it tries to minimize it for your team. You do need to be able to remove hazards, especially when our 5th mon comes in. The 5th mon is another option to help deal with fire type attacks, and it's Volcarona. It's also our main steel type counter on the team. It's nice to have because Heracross struggles with certain steel types like Skarmory or Aegislash, and I like to bring along Volcarona because it can deal with the likes of Heatran as well. I go with Leftovers, Flame Body, Quiver Dance, Fiery Dance, Hidden Power Ground for the, as mentioned, Heatran, and Roost. And I go with 248 into HP, 240 into defense, and 20 into speed. Crucially, that allows you to outspeed other level 100 mons, as that's a pretty common bracket. Tentacruel for 1 is a big issue generally. It's sitting at 100 speed. It's quite fast as well as being generally quite bulky, and it resists everything that basically everything that my team has, with the exception of a good boosted Bullet Seed from Heracross. It's quite difficult to get through sometimes. I like to bring along a 6th mon then, Now, given what we have so far, we need a way to be able to handle anything that doesn't get slowed down by Sticky Web. So most of our offensive mons here all hit hard, but only when they've outsped the opponent's mon, and Sticky Web only works on grounded Pokemon. So Levitators and flying types, crucially, will not be slowed down, which means we can't rely on Heracross and its Rock Blast to be able to take down flying type. Armaldo can do it for one, but if your opponent has more than one flying type, it's going to be incredibly difficult. So we do have an option for ability to outspeed flying types using Scolipede, and I like to go with Speed Boost Scolipede, a Black Sludge to help it recover whenever it sets up, and we go with a Swords Dance set. So it's Swords Dance into Rock Slide, Mega Horn, and Poison Jab. You can use baton passing sets, but I find them a little redundant when you're already slowing down your opponent's team. You don't need to boost into yourself. In general, I find it nice to have Scolipede as a backup plan. It gives you some nice poisons to have to hit fairies with, so it helps alleviate that burden from Scizor. If you see, flamethrowers coming on Scizor, or if Scizor's threatened and too much work put onto it, you have Scolipede there as your poison type to be able to hit. It gives you that little bit of recovery with Black Sludge whenever you go for a Swords Dance. So you bring in Scolipede on an attack that you know it's going to survive, or you sack off a mon, bring in your Scolipede, then Swords Dance on the turn when you know you'll survive the hit. Then you'll outspeed because of the speed boost, and you can hit back incredibly hard. I like to go with 252 into attack and 252 into speed, but if you think your Scolipede's a little bit too fragile, you can take that speed back a little bit, throw some into the HP, and you will outspeed anyway with the speed boost. So there we have the team, folks. In general, it's about smashing through things with Mega Heracross once the Sticky Web is up, but before you can get the Sticky Web up, you want to be able to deal with your opponent's Rapid Spinners and any flying types that are not going to be slowed down for Mega Heracross to sweep. So essentially you have Scizor's Bullet Punch to help deal with flying types, as well as the Steel typing helping to resist that flying weakness. You have Armaldo that can help deal with flying types. You have Scolipede, which will outspeed and be able to spam Rock Slide into the flying types. You have two ways to deal with fairies in Scizor and Scolipede. Volcarona is there to help handle the Steel types. Shuckle is there for your setting up your hazards onto your opponent's team. Armaldo is there to take the hazards off of your own team. And once all of that is done, or you've even removed a few of your opponent's faster mons, you can bring in your Heracross. Once you know it's going to outspeed because of the Sticky Web, you can go for your attacks, and that's the game. So thank you for watching, folks. I will see you next time.